Alright guys, welcome back for this new video where we are coding our weather app using Flutter, BLoC and the weather API. So before we start, I would like you to subscribe to this channel if you like the content I'm putting out. Drop a like down below and tell me in the comments the next build that you want me to focus on, either more BLoC detailed, more Flutter UI detail, or anything else. Please, really, it means a lot to me if you would be able to just subscribe. It's free and it really boosts me up. So what do we want to do today? So you have on the screen kind of the UI that we want to go for this weather app. So very simple, very straightforward. You have the localization at the top left corner, a little good morning as well as a text, an icon that will like show what type of weather is currently at your localization. So we want to get the localization of your phone. Then you have some sort of label for what type of weather is, the date and the time, as well as under that, some little information about the sunrise, the sunset, the max temperature and the minimum temperature. So to do that, we want to use BLoC to organize kind of everything. And as I told you, the weather API. So let me just show you what we're working with. And side note, I only coded the UI like this. I didn't went through the entire process of coding the app before recording this video. So I have my coffee on the left and I'm going to be coding along with you guys. And I have no worries that we'll be able to pull this off. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think around 1 hour should be a right timing. So buckle up and take out your VS Code and let's get after it. So first, let me show you the packages that we'll be using. Perhaps I'm missing some. It's firsthand what we'll for sure need. Perhaps we'll need to come back to this later. So the geolocator package, that's a package that's going to be able for us to get the localization of your phone. Pretty straightforward. I'll show you how it works. Really simple. Then you have the weather package, which is a very cool package because we could use the HTTP package to make API calls, and perhaps I'll do another build video where we are using this and I show you how you could do API request without having a package in pub.dev, because unfortunately you don't have a package for each API that you want to use in the entire web. But for the weather API, we have one, so let's use it. So this weather package, and as you can see, if we go a little bit down, we'll go through that, but you'll need an API key. And I'll show you how to do that. It's completely free, so don't worry. And I want to focus on, if you scroll down a little bit, on the example of output that you might get, that you will get, we will get after getting a call for a weather. So you have a place name, so it's exactly what we want. The date, good. The weather, so the type of weather, if it's cloudy, if it's clear, and some sort of sub weather detail. The temperature, as well as the mean temperature and the max temperature, okay? And what the temperature feels like as well in Celsius. The sunrise time and the sunset time. And you have as well a weather condition code, and this is going to be very useful for us in order to display the right icon right here. So let me just jump into the weather API website. So you just need to navigate to openweathermap.org/API. And if you read the first 2 lines, you'd see that you can just sign up there and create an API key for free. You'll have some limited access to the API, but that's more than enough for what we need to do today. So I invite you to go ahead and do just that. I've already have mine set up, but you should go ahead and create an account there and get your API key. We'll need it later in the code. But I want to focus your attention here on the documentation of the API. I was talking to you about weather codes, right? Remember, in the response that we're getting from this API, we have a weather condition code. And if we go to this page on the openweathermap.com, you have those codes right here. See, you have an ID, and for thunderstorm, it's between 200 and 232. It's going to be some sort of thunderstorm, and then you have description of it. But we don't really care about that. If you want to build a more detailed app, you could definitely deal with all of those different codes. But for us, it's very cool because then we will be able to say, like, if the code is between 200 and 232, display the thunderstorm icon. If the code is between 300 and 321, well, it's drizzle, so let's display a light rainy icon. Same for the rain, same for the snow. You have some stuff here for the atmosphere, but perhaps, you know, we just have one icon for dealing with all of that. Let's make it simple, and same for all of those weather types. So yeah, so we'll come back to that, don't worry, but just so you have it in the back of your head, this is how we're going to deal with changing the icon depending on the weather type. So then another package we'll need, it's this package. Well, it's very useful for us in order to date format the date time that we'll get from the weather API. So I don't want to display those kind of sunrises time or sunset time. I want to display something that is a little bit more user friendly. As you can see on the design, I just want the time because we know the day. And as well here for the date, I want to display something a little special. So that's the package that we are going to use. So the initial package. And then of course, Flutter BLoC and equatable that goes to pair. You know those packages, we've already dealt with them in the channel. So yeah, so now let's go ahead and jump onto the code, I guess. So I have my VS Code running right here, as well as my iOS simulator on the left side. Sorry, took a little sip of coffee. I told you we're in this together this morning. So first of all, I think we want to start by importing all the package that we want to use. So as I told you, we want the geolocator package. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that one, and under dependencies add the geolocator. I'm as well going to add the weather. And for those packages, we'll need to do some like initialization per se in order for them to work with our emulator and with your phone in general. I'm just copying all the packages I've went through and just pasted them. So I'm just gonna save the file. It's gonna run a Flutter pub-get. But if I want to be able to use the geolocator package, I have some more initialization to do. If I navigate to the geolocator package, you see here, if you scroll a bit down, you have some different type of stuff that you need to add to different files in order for it to work. So I'm just going to copy that, and I'm doing it for iOS. Perhaps if you're doing it on Android, you just open the Android folder, and it's really straightforward. You just follow that, and that will be done for you, and you will be able to use it. So I'm on iOS, so I'm going to navigate to the iOS folder, runner, and info.plist. And here, doesn't really matter where I want to put it, but I'm going to put it here at the end, sorry. So it's just pasting what they gave me in order for us to access the localization of the phone. So I'm going to rebuild the app, but actually I'm going to close the app and rerun it, because it's sometimes when you have so deep changes inside your app and like asking for permission of the localization, for instance, is a big one. You need to rebuild it in order for it to work. So don't break your head trying to understand why it's giving you some exception and stuff like this. Sometimes just terminate your app and just rebuild it, and you might be just fine. So that's it for the setup, I guess. Let's go ahead, but we can add more, but that's okay. We don't need more. We'll see later on if it's working, but perhaps we'll need to come back to that. But for now, I think we're pretty good. So we have here our main.dart file, and you know how much I love app structure. And for this particular build, I'm not gonna go onto a so crazy app structure. I'm gonna keep it really simple, and I'm planning actually to make an entire video, perhaps a series, on how you should structure your app in order for it to be as clear and as clean code as possible. So tell me in the comments if it's something that you'd like to see. So under the lib folder, I'm just going to create a new folder. I'm going to call that screens, and I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it home screen.dart. Okay, And this is gonna be for now stateless widget, home screen, and we want to return just for now a scaffold. Okay. And inside our main dot, I'm gonna save it. Inside our main .dart file here in our material app under the home parameter, instead of having the scaffold, I want to return the home screen. Okay, I'm gonna save that. Perfect. I want as well in the material app access the parameter debug show checked mode banner and set it to false, and this is gonna make this disappear right there. Okay, so under our home screen, so you understand a little bit how this is gonna work, I'm gonna build the entire UI. Okay, so I'm gonna build all the different screens. We have only one screen, but I'm gonna build basically this screen right here. Okay, and we are gonna have another folder that's gonna called data. Okay, data for making the call to the API, and we are gonna have another folder that's gonna be the BLoC folder in order to deal with that. So let's create those folders. So under the lib here, I want to create a new folder. I'm going to call it data. And under data, I'm going to create a new file, data.dart. And perhaps I'm going to call it mydata.dart because I don't want to have any conflict with some packages. Okay. We'll deal with this file later on, and I want to create under the lib folder a new BLoC. So remember, I'm right-clicking and accessing the BLoC new BLoC right here. It's because I have the BLoC extension. Okay, so if you navigate to extension here, you search for BLoC, and you will find this extension. You need to install this extension, and it's gonna really like save you a lot of time. So I invite you to do just that, because here I right-click, BLoC, new BLoC, and I'm gonna call it weather BLoC. Save that, and it's creating a BLoC folder, and under that I have my weather BLoC, weather BLoC event, and weather BLoC state. Okay, so perhaps we want to start with the BLoC. I know you want to see some changes in the UI, but it will come, and I have the UI already like coded because I knew what I wanted to do. So perhaps we can maybe make a little bit more of this home screen at first. So let's go ahead and say that the background color of our home screen is gonna be black. So we have exactly that. Then we want an up bar. Okay, we're gonna take this up bar and we're gonna say that the background color is gonna be transparent. Okay, bear with me here. It's very interesting because you see, the only goal and the only reason I'm adding an app bar right here is to access the system overlay style, because you see we've lost our like status bar at the top of our phone. We didn't lost it, it's just that it's black. If I put it, for instance, not transparent but white, you see it's black. All the letters are black and we want them to be white because we have a black background. So how you do that? You just access the system overlay style, and here you want to say system UI overlay style right there. Okay, it's gonna import Flutter services, and here you want to say that the status bar brightness is gonna be equal to brightness.dark. Okay, and you can make that a constant. And if you do that, see, now it's white, so that's perfect. And you can make it actually dynamic, okay, later on, if you want it to be like responding on even like either your phone is in dark mode or in light mode, you can make it responsive. But for now, we're just going to keep it like this. And we want to say as well as a scaffold parameter that our body is extend behind the app bar. Okay, so just set that parameter to true. Right. So now we have our body parameter. So our body parameter, remember, I've went through the scaffold widget in our widget of the D series. So the body is just going to cover the entire screen. So what I want to do is first add some padding to our screen. Okay, so that's going to come very handy because we don't want it to be so close to everything. And what type of padding that I want, I'm just going to take what I've created already, and it's going to be this padding. Okay, edge inset from left, top, right, bottom. That's what it means. Okay, and on the left I want 40, on the top I'm accessing this cat toolbar height. It's a constant provided by Flutter, very cool. And 40 on the right and 20 at the bottom. Okay, so now it's just, for now, it's really straightforward. I want then to access the child parameter of our padding, and this is going to be a sized box. Okay, so the height of our sized box is going to be media query dot of context dot sized dot height. That's pretty straightforward. I want our body to be the entire height of our screen. Okay. Next, I want to access the child parameter, and this is where it's gonna get a little bit tricky if you're not used to like playing around with different kind of like UI elements. Because here, if I bring this preview right here, you see that I want to have this like orange kind of effect in the background, and then this purple kind of effect under it. Okay, so we are going to create just that, and that makes it for very beautiful apps. Okay, so here I want a stack widget because stuff are going to be stacked on top of each other, and a stack widget as a children parameter. And here I want to say that I'm going to have a container, but first I want to align this container. And alignment here, you can make it so you can access the alignment dot and say where you want your container to be aligned. You have some like predefined stuff, but here I want to be specific. Okay, so I'm going to use not alignment geometry, but alignment directional. Okay, and here for this one, I'm going to just say 0 and 3, sorry, and minus 0.3, and you'll see why in just a moment. And then I'm accessing the child parameter and doing our container itself. So our container here is going to have a height of 300 and a width of 300 as well. And then I want to access the decoration parameter, which is a box decoration. Okay, and here I want to say that the shape of our container is going to be a circle, and that the color of our container is going to be colors.deep purple. And if I save that, you see that we have a container right here that's kind of doing what we want. We have a deep purple, and it's aligned on the right parameter, you see, because this is the start and this is the Y. Okay, so it's exactly what we are expecting right here. And if you look at the design, it's clearly blurry. So you want it to be blurry as well, and you want it to be the same as well on the other side. So the blur thing we're going to deal with in just a second, but I'm not going to retype everything, but you've seen the logic. And now next I want to have this container, basically the same one, but if I save it, it's just going to be mirrored on the other side. So that's pretty much it. And then lastly, I want to have another container, okay? And this container is going to be up under that, and it's going to be at the very top right here. So you see that that's pretty much the layout that we are going for right here. But if we let it like this, well, we're going to have a pretty boring and not very beautiful app. I give it that to you. But then you want to access the backdrop filter. Sorry, the backdrop filter widget. And this is where it gets interesting. Look at this. You can add filters to your app, and this comes very handy if you want, for instance, to have, well, the blur effect that we're gonna do. So you want to access the image filter dot blur, and here you can say sigma x, and for instance, I'm gonna say 100, and sigma y, I'm gonna say 100 as well. Okay, and if I save that, nothing's happening. Well, wait for it. Then you want to access the child parameter of this backdrop filter, do a container, and this container is going to have a decoration, which is a box decoration, and a color, colors.transparent. And if I save that, magic, we have our backdrop filter, and it's exactly the shades that we want for our app. And Like, if you ask me, I think it looks pretty cool. Like, you can have some huge and amazing effects using only this kind of stuff. And I think it's really nice to have that as a tool in your toolbox to build really beautiful apps. And because on top of that, you know, you can make some like freezed glass effect container that looks super cool on apps. And yeah, I mean, that's really the starting point. So perhaps we want to now, after our backdrop filter, well, let's create the entire UI, and then we'll feed the UI with a block builder that's really much more like what we want to do later on. So let's do the entire UI. So now we have a size box. We're going to say that the width of our size box is equal to the width of our screen by accessing the media query, and saying that the height is equal to the height of our screen as well. Okay, so that's done. And then you want to add a column to our size box, column that has a children parameter. And the children parameters are gonna be, but well, remember, we have our first the localization of your phone. So that's what we want to do right here. Aix-en-Provence, right here, my city in France. We want to access the cross parameter of our column right here to say that the cross parameter is equal to start. So we have that aligned on the left. Then we can add some sized box to it under that. So everything is a bit spaced as we want. And we continue by, well, having the good morning under that, which is a text widget as well. Okay. So save that, and we have our good morning right here. Good. Then we want our, if you look at the design, our image right here. Okay. So before we actually can access our image, we need to create a new folder, and we're going to call it assets. Okay. And under this folder, we're going to have all of our images. Okay. So let me just grab the images that I have. I'm going to copy them, and I'm going to paste them all right here. And see, that's the thunderstorm, that's the light rain, the heavy rain, snow, that's probably some sort of blizzard or something, sun, some clouds, cloud, wind, sun, night, max temperature, and mean temperature. So we have all of those different assets right here. But for you to be able to use those assets, you actually need to modify your perspec.yaml file. So under this use material design, you can add assets. And under that, just give it the path of where your assets are. And for me, they are under assets. Save this file. And that's gonna be pretty much it for us. So he doesn't know assets. Yeah, no, that's good. Don't forget the space, otherwise he's not gonna be happy. So let's close this perspec.yaml file now and see if we can have access to our image. So for our image, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be very simple. Image assets, and this is not happy because I've made that constant. So let me just change that. Image.asset, and just accessing our asset. You see, pretty cool. We have, if we say the second one, the third one, see, we can just loop through all of our different icons super nicely. So that's pretty cool. Then under that, we want the temperature, the current temperature. So same text widget. I'm not coding them with you guys because it's pretty boring. You know how to code a text widget, but you have them right here if you want to keep the same UI kind of stuff. If you want to change it, you can change it. It's really just because it works for me. That's it. So under this temperature, we want the actual type of weather that we have. So thunderstorm. And remember, all of those fields, they're going to be actually dynamic because we're going to access our weather API. So now they are coded, but later on in the video, you'll see them. They're going to be like dynamic. Then I want to add the date. So under this, I want to add a little size box and as well the date of today as well as the time. And the size box under that as well to separate a bit. And here it's where it gets a bit tricky, because if we look at our UI, we have this little part right here. So let's build just that. So what we want, we have a row. I'm going to build this one with you because it's a bit like row and columns into each other, but that's fine. So here we want a main axis alignment dot space between, okay? And that's pretty cool because you can make expanded and all this kind of stuff, but if you use space between, that's going to save you a lot of time. So children for the row, obviously, and I want to access my image, that is my my sun, sorry. And before the image asset, sorry, I want to do another row and with other children and put my image asset right here. If I save that, you see I have my little sun right there. Then I'm going to add a size box under that, okay? I mean, on the right of it because it's a row, okay? And then I'm going to add a column, and this column is basically going to be our sunrise text as well as the actual time of the sunrise. So let me just paste that right here, okay? So we have a column, if I save it, see it, with children parameter that says sunrise for a text, a little divider, size box, and the text itself for the time of the sunrise, okay? And that's that's all there is to it. Like, you can now just take your entire row right here and like just basically paste it under that. If you save it, it's exactly what you want right here. So you don't want to access the 11th, but you want to access the 12th because it's the moon. So that's that. Here, instead of sunrise, you want sunset. And the time is going to be dynamic, so you don't really care, but like to make it consistent, let's just do that. And just like that, you have a very beautiful thing right here. So now under that, if we look at our UI, we want a little divider. And well, that's good that we're on Flutter because there is just exactly a widget that does just that. So perhaps I think it's under that. I've wrapped our divider. It's not under that. Okay, sorry, my bad. Perhaps here. Exactly. So under our big row right here, we have our divider that takes a color parameter if you want. Otherwise, it doesn't take it. But if you want, you can make it gray, white, red, whatever. And I've wrapped it inside a padding widget to add some vertical padding. So it's going to be 5 of padding on the top and 5 of padding at the bottom. And in the same logic, like really, it's going to be the same logic as we exactly did right here. Okay, we are creating our second field. So I'm not going to go ahead and recode it entirely with you. I'm just going to take it and paste it and show it to you. So under that, I just paste that and see what we have. So same logic, a big row. Okay, so that's going to cover our entire row right here. Under this row, I want 2 rows. Okay, this row right here and this row right here. And inside, so that's what we have, a big row, okay? Then our first row right here with the image, and then a column that takes our max temperature with the temperature itself under it, and the same exactly right here with our image first inside our second row, and another column with the mean temperature and the minimum temperature inside it. And that's pretty much it for the UI. So now we have our UI created, okay? So our home screen is done. That's what it's gonna look like. And you might say, well, okay, that's it. See you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. That was a very nice one. But let's push it a little bit and try to actually make it dynamic. So let's try to make it with like good data instead of only dummy data like we have hard coded right here. So inside our BLoC. And I've created a folder that's called data, but remember, I'm coding it with you, so I didn't plan everything. I'm only planned the UI, and now I'm coding it with you. I'm saying to myself, it's a very straightforward call to the API, and we are going to do it all on the BLoC right here, because I think it's really just more convenient. But let's create the BLoC. So let's first focus on the event. Sorry, took a little sip of coffee. So remember how we create an event, huh? So it's going to be a class that we are going to call fetch weather. Yeah, sounds about right. And it's going to extend weather BLoC event. Okay. Do we want any class parameter for this? No, we don't. So we can just save that, and that's all there is to it for the event class. Next, we want to create the state. So you see right here, and all of those stuff, they're already populated because I have the BLoC extension, right? So I really recommend, if you're going to use BLoC, which I recommend, to download the BLoC extension. So all of those stuff are created for you. And here, I've created 3 other classes. I'm going to delete those initials because we already have it. Up. And I'm going to create weather BLoC loading as a state. Huh? It's state class because they extend weather BLoC state. Weather loading, weather failure, and weather success. And here we want something inside our weather BLoC success class. We're going to make it final, okay? And it's going to be weather. And here you see auto import the weather package that we've talked about, okay? So yeah, I want to do that. I don't have to create these classes because we're actually using this awesome package that's the weather package. But maybe in another video, you tell me, huh? But I will create another cool app where we actually create the class and do all the cool stuff with it, and do the API calls with the HTTP package or the DO package, perhaps. That could be something cool. And while I'm talking to you, I'm just creating the state, the weather BLoC success state class. That's pretty hard to say, but that's all there is to it. A weather parameter, constructor, and just adding our weather to the props getter. And this is very useful because this state, this weather BLoC success state, is going to be the one that we're going to feed to our home screen. And in order for our home screen to, well, display the right information, we want to have a weather parameter. Okay, so that's exactly what we are doing right here. So now let's focus on the weather BLoC. Perhaps my names are a bit too much. I could have just called it weather, and that could have been just perfect. But here I want to not say that, but I want to call the event that's called fetch weather. And I want to wrap everything inside the try catch. If there is something that is not right, I want to say weather BLoC failure. Otherwise, I want to say when we start that it's not the failure, but that's loading. And if everything goes right, I want to say not loading this time, but success. And see here, we have kind of a little error. Yeah, because like our weather BLoC success takes a weather parameter and we didn't feed him. So yeah, of course he's not going to be happy about it. But now let's just try to feed the BLoC with the right data. So now using the weather BLoC, we want to say weather factory. Okay, gonna just call that WF is equal to weather factory, and that takes your API key as well as a language. Okay, so perhaps we want to say that the language is going to be English. All right, but this is exactly where you're going to put your API key. So I will put my API key as well, but put your private one and try to keep it to yourself. So before we use the geolocator package, perhaps we can try to call it right now. So here, Let me just say API key. Okay. So we want to say now that our weather is going to be equal to await. So if we say await, we want to make our on function asynchronous is equal to wf dot, and see, those are methods that you can have with the package. So current weather by city name, current weather by location, and 5-day forecast by city name and 5-day forecast by location. I didn't include the forecast. Perhaps if you are allowed to request it, I'll make a second part video where we do another screen with the forecast. But note that with your API key, your like let's say free API key, you won't be able to call current weather and 5-day forecast in the same time. But that's okay, because if you call 5-day forecast, it gives you actually today as well and every 3 hours. So that's all right. And perhaps we want to say first weather city by location. Okay. So here, see, it takes a latitude parameter and a longitude parameter, okay? So it's exactly where we want to actually like get the latitude and the longitude of the phone, right? And so how do you do that? So let's go on to up our geolocator package, okay? So here, we want to actually see how it works. So we want to say that we want to have the get current position. That's the one that we want. Okay, so let's try to take that, but I don't think we're going to be able to use it as is. I think we're going to need to request permission. Okay, so yeah, so let's just try that, but I think we're going to have to come back to it for the permissions. So perhaps here, under that, before we do that, let's try to call geolocator and get current position. And it's giving us a position as a future. So perhaps we want to get this position. Okay, like this. And perhaps then we can say position dot latitude and position dot longitude. Okay, and perhaps give the weather to our weather block success. So, okay, I have my doubts that this is gonna work. I'm not sure if it's gonna work as is. Perhaps it will. I hope it will. But if it doesn't, that's no problem. We'll definitely come back to it later. So I'm gonna modify my API key with my real API key, and then we're gonna, well, just feed the UI with what we want. I'll be right back. All right, so as you can see right here under data, my data.dart, I've created a string API key, and I'm hiding it a little bit, but you see you paste your API key right here, and then onto the weather block, I can just call my API key like this. You can actually make it so it's really hidden by using like environment type of architecture. We can go through it in another video if you want. But now that this weather block is done, let's move that out of the way. Let's try to feed our UI. So here on our main.dart file, home screen, we're going to wrap that with a BLoC provider. Yes. And this BLoC provider, it's going to be weather BLoC. Well, that was a dumb name from my side. I'm sorry. And we're going to need to import as well Flutter block. And we're going to say that this is a weather BLoC parameter. And this is because it's constant right here that he's not happy with me. And onto our weather block right there, I want to add fetch weather event. Okay, so now if we rebuild that, I don't know what's going to happen. Perhaps I need to see. Okay, nothing happens. Good, good so far. So here on our home screen.dart, we want to have our entire, I'm scrolling up. Yep, size box. So it's started here. where we have our entire UI. Perhaps onto our weather block here. Yes, I can know if that works. If I print weather, why isn't it working? Weather block, add fetch weather. Fetch weather, it's here, fetch weather. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I figured it out. Look on the left, it's working now. I'm going to show you what I did because we were actually like only doing that right here, and it was not displaying the this pop-up to our client, and because you need it actually to be on a higher level. Okay, so right here, sorry, I'm going to rebuild the app. Okay, so I have right here. I'm gonna close the app for now and come back to it later. Okay, so we have actually here inside our material app wrap, or we only had a block builder like this. Okay, I've wrapped our entire block builder with the future builder. Okay, future builder, and the future builder works like this. You give him a future, and you give him a builder that takes the context as well as a snapshot. And here I say, if the snapshot has data, I want to return the home screen. Okay. If not, I want to return a scaffold with a circular progress indicator. Okay. Well, that's working perfect. And what's this actually determine position function? Well, if you navigate to the geolocator, they gave it to you, this function. So you just take it, it's right here, and it's exactly what I've done. You take it, and I've pasted it just under that, all of this, and it's actually returning the current position right there. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now that we have this, okay, we want to actually say to our fetch weather event, so weather block event, that here we're taking a position as a parameter, position. Let's make it final so it's happy, and say constant fetch weather this dot position. I hope it's clear what I've done. It's just like where you need to request the permission to get the localization of the user higher up in the food chain, not inside the block. Learn something right here. Yeah, fetch weather, we're adding the position, and if you navigate to your main.dart, here you see you have a little error. That's fair because we added the parameter and we need to pass him, and now it's going to be snap.data as position. That's what it gives us, right? Get current position. It gives us a position right here. So that's cool. And because we say if snap has data, we're pretty much safe on that point. So if we save that, now we need to say in our weather block event, now weather block right here. See, we're just requesting it right here, get current position, but we want to get rid of that. So let's get rid of that. And here inside our get, so current weather by location, we want to say not just position, but event.position and event.position.longitude. And if I rebuild everything, perhaps we should be able to actually see some changes. So now let's go onto the home screen and wrap our entire size box with our block builder. Okay, wrap the entire thing with a block builder of weather block. Yeah, I know it's not the best name ever. Let me just do some cleaning. I really need to reinstall VS Code because I really destroyed it. But yeah, that's it. So I've wrapped our entire size box with this block builder. Okay, up, tack, and I'm gonna take the size box. Don't worry, if your VS Code is not as destroyed as mine, you don't have to do all of this. And I'm gonna save that. Okay, so perhaps I will use the debug console. Right here. See how cool is this? We have right here exactly what we want. Place name, Aix-en-Provence. It's my location, so that's fair. The date, it's today. The type of weather, cloudy today. It is. I can tell you that it is. The temperature, the minimum temperature, the max temperature, sunrise, sunset, the wind. Well, you can add more stuff if you want, but here we have as well our weather condition code. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I'm very happy about this. You should be very happy and proud of yourself. So before we go more in detail with that, I just want to make sure that you understood what happened. So let's navigate back to the main.dart file. And here, what we had was just material app, home, and we had our block builder. We only had that, okay? Without this parameter to our fetch weather, okay? We actually need to request the location of the user before going inside our block, okay? So because getting the location of the user is a future thing, it's asynchronous, I'm wrapping a block builder with a future builder, okay? This future builder takes a future parameter, which is basically a future, okay? And here we're feeding him with our determine position function that is under that is given by the geolocator package. It's really just only that, okay? You can just take it, read it, and paste it. And here inside our builder that takes a context and an asynchronous snapshot, okay, of type position, I say if our snapshot has data, meaning if the request of getting the location of the user is done, we have an answer, we can go through our block provider and asking the fetch weather event, okay, feeding him with the position of the user, which is accessible inside the snapshot that we have .data, and returning the home screen. If not, meaning if we don't have an answer yet for the location, we want to display a scaffold with a center circular progress indicator. And I've pasted this determine position method just under this, okay? That's pretty much it. That's all there is to it. No other stuff. Okay, I hope I was clear. Tell me in the comments if I was clear. I hope I was. So here, instead of accessing Aix-en-Provence, I want to say dynamically state, before I do that, here under our block builder, if state is weather block success, up, I want to do that. So our size box go onto here, okay. Else return a container. You can make it a bit more specific, but for now we don't need to be more specific about it. So let me just indent that, and then we'll go through the code. Okay. So now if weather block is success, remember if it's weather block success, we have access inside our state to our weather. And let's try to find area name, perhaps it's called area name. Yeah, maybe. And it's not constant, okay? Save that. Okay, good. Aix-en-Provence, pretty cool. So let's make that a constant. Good morning, gonna stay good morning. This for the image right here, we're gonna do last because it's a bit tricky. We're gonna do a little, I'm not sure how I'm gonna wanna do it, but I'm sure as hell I want to do something a little interesting because remember, we'll go through it after it, okay? We'll go through it after. So here, I wanna say that it's not 21 degrees. I don't know how cold it is, but let's see. Weather dot perhaps temperature. Temperature. Okay. It's not happy because it's a constant. If I save that, it's 20.0 Celsius. Yeah, it's a string. Temperature. Perhaps I can get Celsius. Okay. Wow. That's a lot of zeros. It's very precise. I want to round that up. It's a double. Can I round it? That'd be nice to be able to round it if I'm honest. Yeah. I was not far off with the 21 degrees, I must say. Very proud of myself. Okay. I'm discovering it as long as we go, so I'm just going with the flow. Here is not going to be thunderstorm. If I open my debug console, I can see actually. So here we want to see clouds, right? Or something like this. Yeah, so it would be inside the weather parameter, perhaps. Where are we? Right here. So state dot weather dot weather description, weather icon, weather main, perhaps, weather main, string. Why is it not happy? Constant value. Yeah, of course. Okay. Cloud. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. Can I say to uppercase? I can say to uppercase. Wow. Good. Okay, constant. I'm not talking much. I'm just going through it, and you can go through it with me. We're just filling the UI with the right data. So here, a little different, right? We have a date, okay? But it's the date of today, of right now, okay? So we don't have to access this date parameter. Perhaps we could. Okay, let's access this one. We can access the datetime.now. It would be the same, to be fair. But to do that, I'm going to keep this this little string under it, but I want to access date format, okay? And you see here, it's from the initial package that we've imported, okay? So you have some different, like already made up kind of stuff from the date format package, but from the initial package, sorry, but I want to do my own stuff. I'm going to just import the date format, okay? And I'm going to say, so format and the date. So then the date itself is going to be state.weather.date, I imagine. Yeah, something like this. What is it? A date time? Yeah, okay. So here, here, and here. Okay. So what type of format do we want for it? So we want, so the day. Let's see. That's a bit tricky because if you say the day like this, yeah, okay. So the day, okay, we want Friday the 16th. Let me check the documentation on how to write this. All right, got it figured out. So to access the day with full letters, it's 4E. To access the day itself, 2 little case sensitive D. Then we do a dot and we add the method add_gm. So that's gonna actually do 9:40 a.m. and then dot format and we add the date of the weather. That's pretty much it for that. Just let you take a quick look at this, okay? Then for the sunrise, so we don't want to move the icon, they're gonna stay the same. Sunrise, we perhaps want to say that, yeah, we want to access this. So on the same date format, so we want to say the same type of stuff. So perhaps we can reuse that right here. But because it's constant, it's gonna scream. Okay, don't scream. So here we don't want to have all of this. We want to say perhaps sunrise. Yeah, sunrise dot hour. Okay, sunrise. It's a daytime, isn't it? It's a daytime. Perfect. So sunrise, and can we just say that? Yes, we can. Perfect. So that's what we're going to do. Add GM, the method that we've used right here. We just want to use the same right there. We don't want to move sunset. Sunset, we just want to move that. But instead of sunrise, we want sunset. Okay. It's constant, so it's not happy. Let's move that away. Okay. Save that. 7:41 p.m. tonight. Right, fair enough. Okay. So that's done. Then the temperature. Okay, so let's do the temperature. Scrolling down. Okay, here 12 degrees Celsius. If we access the state.weather.temperature, temperature max. Okay, it's a double, I guess. Okay, so remove the constant. It's good to use constant, and it's really more efficient in your app, but sometimes you need to move them because this is not constant, okay? So temperature max dot Celsius, and it's gonna be the same thing we want to say round, yeah, something like this, and to string perhaps, okay? So up, up. Let me see what we've got from that. 21, but we want 21 degrees Celsius. So we are gonna actually wrap all that inside a string, remove the toString, and here we're gonna do our little degree Celsius ourselves. Okay, 21 degrees Celsius. Do you want a little space? Perhaps a little space. Okay, so that's for the max temperature. Let's just copy that and do the same for our mean temperature right here. But instead of the constant is really killing me, I am sorry for the constant. But instead of temperature max, I guess temperature mean 18 degrees. Okay, and just like that, I think we're pretty much done, except for the icon. So if I reload everything, yep, that's working very nicely. So, okay, let's go up now. Let's go up, and to our here, our image asset, okay? So remember, if I pop a terminal, here we have a weather condition code, okay? And if we go to the up to the weather API, remember what I've told you? We have different codes for different types of weather, okay? So if it's 200, I want to print a specific type of icon. If it's between 300 and 321, I want to display another one, okay? And same for the rain, for the snow, for the mist, for the clear clouds. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 types, okay? Okay, so here, image assets. So perhaps we can do here, we can make a big statement, like if statement, that goes on and on and on and on. I'd like more to make kind of a switch statement, perhaps. Yeah, perhaps we can create a function that will take the code and return an image asset depending on that code. And we can make a big switch statement right there. I think that would be the more readable for you guys. Let's try to perhaps create here. Let's not make that stateless, but let's make it stateful. And here, let's create a method that will return a widget. And let's say get weather icon. And that's gonna take an int, I guess, the code. Okay. And here we're gonna do a big switch statement. Hola. Switch statement on the code value. So if the value, so that's the thing. If the value, so we can do different things right here. We can say if the value is between 200 and 232, we return the thunderstorm. Or we can say if the weather code start with a 2, right? We can divide everything by 100 and just round that up because it's never exceeding 50, is it? It is. Okay, so that's not a viable option. Okay, I'm gonna just reflect 2 minutes on what to do and I'll be back. All right, so yeah, so that seems to be the best option. We're just gonna go through them, okay? So if the code is like superior at 200 and under 300, we are on the thunderstorm, okay? So thunderstorm is the first one here, okay? So it's gonna be up 1, and we're just gonna repeat the process for everything. I'm gonna cut to it so you don't have to sit through it, and I'm just gonna walk you when it's done. All right, guys, that's it. I'm done with the switch statement. So you don't have to go through and sit through it. I'm just gonna explain what I did. So if the code is superior at 200 or equal to 200 and inferior at 300, we want to return the first asset, so the thunderstorm asset, because it's the code that corresponds to thunderstorm. If it's between 300 and 400, we want to return the light rain icon. Between 5 and 600, we want to return the real rain icon. Between 6 and 700, we want to return the snow icon. Between 700 and 800, we want to return the like fuzz, cloud, mist icon. If it's 800 strictly, we want to return the sunny icon. And if it's superior strictly to 800 and inferior or equal to 804, we want to return this cloudy icon. And you can see right here it's working because today it's 20 degrees where I am, it's cloudy, and I have the right icon displayed right there. So yeah, and what I've done then, it's inside the code, okay? Instead of having our image.asset, I just have our getWeather icon that returns a widget, so we can just put that in, and I've pasted it to state.weather condition code right there, and I can just delete that right now, and we should be good to go. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna save that up, and yeah, we can call it a build. So yeah, I'm pretty happy for all the stuff that we've managed to deal with today. I'll put the code on GitHub if you want, guys. And yeah, I'm very open to any feedbacks that you might have, any requests that you want me to build. And don't forget to subscribe. Again, really helps me out. And well, until the next one, bye guys. Thanks for watching.